Hello and welcome to the Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. Today I have a really interesting topic to share with you. The fundamental concept is that when you create a course, when you provide a message, when you tell a story, that's a good question. See, when you tell a story, when you watch a film, for example, there's like an inciting incident. There's something that happens at the beginning, and then the whole movie is how you resolve that issue. So they don't actually tell you how you resolve the issue. Okay, maybe. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two different thinking models. Well, I'm going to show you like 10 different thinking models. But the main idea that I want to share with you is two different thinking models. And then over the next several weeks, months maybe, I'm going to continue to go step by step through those ideologies and explain how you get to that understanding of the final concept. If you've been enjoying my videos, then go ahead and like and subscribe. Share videos with other friends who are, what do they call this word? Like when you think differently than other people. And let's begin. Oh no. I'm going to have to cut this part out. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to share. All right, so today, remember that in this playlist, we are talking about the power of three, and we are telling the stories of three characters who are doing different types of businesses, but the elements of what they're doing in their business are also elements of everyone's businesses. And so as we focus on these businesses, then you're going to be able to understand how to think through all these different personas within your own organization and how to get better outcomes. So let's begin. All right, so I've just highlighted a couple of things because I want to tell a little bit of a story. And the story is that we began all of this with this State Purposes live lecture series. Within the State Purposes live lecture series, you can see there's 21 videos. And the end result of the live lecture series is that one aspect of the business that I'm trying to create requires me to have some prerequisites, to develop some certain types of something. And the idea here is that there might be a time difference between when something is delegated and when something is implemented. The question is, what was the intended and actual result? Or what is the time difference between delegated and implemented? It means once you know what to do, how long does it take you to do it? And once you've decided what you want to have done, what is the actual result? And today I've specified three different things that I am focused on: creating, deploying resources, creating, deploying skills, and creating and deploying knowledge. What does that mean exactly? Well, let's just keep going down because actually I have it all here. So later on in some other videos, I explained how I'm in the process of product development, website and outreach, and then we go to the next stage. Now, under this product development stage, you can see that Prime Minister, so this is our character who is our Prime Minister, and his job is to create courses, author and authoring programs. So that's where this idea of creating and deploying resources, methods, and knowledge comes from. In the last video, we were talking about the designer. And in the video before that, we were talking about the influencer. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Prime Minister. Specifically, the Prime Minister is developing these different types of products. And right now, we're focused on the video prep for course number 2. So here's our team, the designer, the influencer, and the prime minister, and here is where we are today. Course number 2, performance review. Now, where do all these ideas come from? They come from, a lot of it, most of it comes from the experiences I've had as I've shared the work of Thomas Buckholtz from his book, Create Crucial Insight. And in his book, there is a little map. If you've been here before, then you know that the endeavor elements are potential, agendas, and effects. And if you think about the playlist, state purposes, and then you compare it with Tom's book, what you'll notice is that state purposes is here. State purposes being here, it means that the ideas from the checklist state purposes are relevant when you're choosing plans, meaning when you're in the stage of creating plans and then choosing a plan. For example, today I just made a choice about a plan that I wanted to work on, which is how to deploy resources, skills, and knowledge. All right, so I literally I made a choice for the plan that I want to carry out in today's video using that checklist. You'll notice that state purpose is this line here. It means that state purpose is also connected to motivation. And I think that it's pretty clear that after I finished doing all of that work with the state purposes checklist, that I was really able to create an entire framework for purposes that motivate me. And so now we know that these are actually motivators for me. Now that we've completed that state purposes live lecture series, and now that I'm in the process of creating the second course, it's interesting to note that the second course, it's about state styles. It's about the state styles checklist and the state drive checklist, which means that we're still really, really heavily focused on this concept of exciting motivations. And this is really a lot of what I talked to Tom about when we first met. And I said, look, to create momentum, we need to have motivation. And how do I get things done when I just don't feel like getting things done? And in a previous video, I mentioned that if you have faith, feed the faith. Do things that feed your faith. Do things that feed your positivity. And do things that feed the love and relationships in your life, and try to be part of a community. Now, I would say that after practicing this for the last several weeks, that overall, I feel like I have a little bit more motivation. But that's not exactly the end result. That's not, because you have to be motivated for a purpose, a specific purpose. You want to get things done. And so now we're going to move on to state styles and state drive in order to really focus and drill down on more specific things and how to get more motivated regarding those more specific things. In the introduction of the video, I mentioned that I want to show you 2 images, and then we're going to talk about how we get these images. So the idea of storytelling, meaning that, this isn't really a story because this isn't really an inciting incident. It's more like, I want you to understand this image right here, but for you to be able to understand this image, it's going to take a lot of work. Just like in the course that I created, at the end of the course, when you go to my website, spacebetweenideas.com, you're going to see that I have a course. And in that course, what I'm hoping that people achieve from that course is to understand this thing called an endeavor cycle. So for example, the 2 endeavor cycle, it means that we think well, do great, think well, do great, think well, do great. Okay, so life, it's a process of thinking up some kind of plan and then working to achieve the result. And then the 4, so we start here in the corner. What do you want to do? And then you have to map out that terrain, right? So mapping out the terrain is part of thinking well. We have to figure out what does the terrain look like, and then creating a route in order to work toward that end result. And then let's go. Now, in most cases, it's not let's go and then we're done. It's let's go and then let's go again. Okay, so now that you've achieved that, now what do you want to do? Usually when you go around the second time, then you're going to want to also recognize the outcomes. And those outcomes, it's going to inform about like what do you really want to do. So now we're in the 6th stage endeavor cycle, which means we want to recognize the outcomes from past performance. And then take inventory for like what do we have to work with and where are we working? What's going on? And then we try to be a little more inventive and try to be creative and try to find some competitive edge. But sometimes those competitive edges, they may be a little too edgy, meaning that we need to look at our assumptions and make sure that what we're actually doing and thinking and planning is true. And then finally, we decide on the impact that we want to create and we choose those plans. And then we perform the action. So you can see how it all maps onto Tom's original work, because you can see here that recognizing the outcomes right here, right? It's up here at the top. And then fostering reuses, it means to take inventory. Taking inventory, it means understanding how to reuse the results from your previous work and the work of other people. And then it also means to figure out what kind of resources and motivation you have. And also the interactions, like who are the people you have to work with? What's the team that you have to work with? And then you can see that making assumptions and building scenarios, it's all within this, making assumptions and creating scenarios. It's all, I don't know, do we have inventive? There should be inventive in there somewhere as well. So you can see down here, you have state inventiveness. There's a checklist. Although it's next to motivation here, in the concept that I'm expressing, I'm saying that when you're building your scenarios, you also have to be very inventive. All right. So, anyways, if we go back to the original idea, that the 2-stroke engine, thinking well and doing great, you can see how that maps onto the concept of cube thinking and OKRs. I created something called Cube Thinking, and you can learn about it in my course. But it's a tool basically that helps you to map the terrain. And so it helps you to take inventory, it helps you to be more inventive, it helps you to question assumptions. And then once you figured out what you're going to do, then you can use OKR methodology when you're picking a route, meaning you have a specific plan, and then you are following up on people performing actions, and you're recognizing the outcomes that they come up with. So I would say that in general, the course that I created, the first course that I created, I'm trying to help you understand this framework right here. That's the result. And in the next course that we're going to be looking at together over the next several weeks, this is the idea that I want you to understand. So you can see it starts at the top with bright green. In the middle, it looks a little more yellowy. And then at the bottom, it's like red. And you can see that the main concepts here are level of effort, meaning the motivation, energy, level of success, meaning proficiency and efficiency, are both connected to people and performance. When you look at your people, or when you look at yourself, you want to understand what is your level of effort. And your level of effort is going to be directly connected with the amount of energy that you have and the things that are motivating you. And so that's why we've been spending so much time focusing on the level of effort. And also the first course and now the second course, it's also really focused in the area of level of effort. It's really focused in the area of motivation. And now we're starting to add this second element of level of success, meaning that we want to understand how proficient a person is regarding the completion of tasks and also how efficient they are. So I think that proficiency and efficiency are quite close. Proficiency is how well you can get the thing done. And then the efficiency, it's like this added element of, can you do it a little faster than other people? So this is the two elements that are focused on people specifically. And then later on, we're going to talk about systems and work styles. And these kind of go together as well. So when you first start making processes, you are really focused on optimization, meaning how well do you utilize the infrastructure which you have access to, and then capacity. So what is that infrastructure specifically? So you have to be able to open yourself up and accept that you have to be able to increase your capacity, meaning you have to have access to better and better tools, and then you have to actually understand how to use those tools. And then finally, at some point, as you learn how to use the tools and as you add more tools to your arsenal, you're going to want to connect those tools together so that at some point you have an increase of automation. So that's really what the course is about. And what I'm hoping is that at the end of the course, you'll understand how to use this little tool here, meaning if you're talking to one of your employees or when you're talking to yourself, you could actually give yourself a little grade. So for example, right now I could say, well, my level of effort regarding this endeavor is a yellow, or my level of success is an orange, or, and then I have another way of explaining that, and it looks a little something like this. So in this case, you can record the current level of effort, the current level of success, the current, what is this? How well are they doing the work? Yeah, so this is basically what you do is you list the work in these sections here. These are all the things you want people to do. Okay, I see. So number 2 is here. It's the current. So what are they doing right now? So let's say the yellow, I could say is a 5 out of 10. And the orange is like a 4 out of 10. But then my target, what's the target? My target is like, I want to increase my level of effort just a little bit. I want to do like a 6 out of 10. And then my level of success, I also want to increase to a 6 out of 10. And then finally, we have these 6 work styles. And the 6 work styles fall within these 2 categories. So I can actually label, I can give myself a label for how well things are getting done right now, how well I'd like things to get done in the future, and how I can change those work styles. So this is the introduction to the next course, and what I'm going to do is, as you can see above, that I basically have all of the content already prepared. I've tested it with many people, and now we're going to work through this together, and after we've worked through it, we'll be able to work out all the kinks, and then the result will be that I will be ready to record the second course, and by recording the second course, I'll be able to add another product to my website. And once we're able to do that, then most likely what we'll do is at the same time, we're also going to be able to be focusing on some of the work of our other characters in this playlist. So I hope you've enjoyed this little introduction to the next course from our good buddy, the Prime Minister, and I look forward to seeing you next time. It's been another edition of The Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates.